It started with a fall. Not hers, his. Maya was walking home from her late shift at the diner when she saw the old man lying on the sidewalk, one hand still clutching a paper bag that had burst open, oranges rolling across the pavement like tiny suns. It was past 9 p.m., the streetlights flickering, and the world seemed too tired to notice him. But Maya did. She dropped her bag, ran to him, and knelt down. "Sir, are you okay?" The man winced, his face pale but calm. "Just lost my balance. Happens sometimes." His voice was gentle, almost embarrassed. Maya helped him sit up, gathered the oranges, and insisted on walking him home. He protested at first, like many proud old souls do, but she didn't take no for an answer. She ended up walking beside him all the way to his little blue house on Willow Street. That was the first night. And it wasn't the last. Mr. Bennett, that was his name, was 82 years old and lived alone. His wife had passed 5 years earlier, and his son lived overseas. He spent most of his days reading, gardening, and watching the world from his porch. After that night, Maya began stopping by every day after work. Sometimes she'd bring him groceries. Sometimes she'd just sit with him for a cup of tea. He started calling her his afternoon angel. Maya was 27, living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to finish nursing school. Her own father had passed away when she was 16, and her mother worked long hours cleaning houses. Taking care of Mr. Bennett filled something in her life, a quiet emptiness she hadn't known how to name. They'd talk for hours about everything: her dreams of becoming a nurse, his memories of serving in the Navy, his late wife's laughter, the garden they used to plant together. It was never planned, never expected, but it became a ritual, a bond. Every day after her shift, she went straight to Willow Street. Rain or shine, tired or not, and with time, the old man's health improved. He smiled more, ate better, walked stronger. Neighbors began to notice, whispering about the young woman who'd given new life to the lonely man on the corner. Then one day, everything changed. It started with a silver car pulling up to the curb, sleek, expensive, out of place on their quiet street. A man in his 30s stepped out, wearing a sharp suit and holding a phone that looked more like a lifeline than a tool. "Grandpa," the man said, striding up the walkway. Mr. Bennett's eyes lit up. "Ethan, my boy." Maya smiled, stepping back to give them space. But when Ethan's eyes landed on her, his expression shifted. Cold, guarded. "Who are you?" he asked flatly. Maya blinked. "Oh, I'm Maya. I help your grandfather sometimes." "Help him?" Ethan's brow furrowed. "With what exactly?" Mr. Bennett interjected gently. "She's been wonderful, Ethan. She helps me around the house. Keeps me company." Ethan's jaw tightened. "I see." He said nothing more, but the way he looked at her made Maya feel like she'd done something wrong, something shameful. That night, she left early. 2 days later, Ethan showed up again, this time with 2 men in dark suits. Lawyers. Maya arrived that afternoon like always, carrying a pot of homemade soup. But the air felt different, thick, heavy. She found Mr. Bennett sitting in his armchair, his face pale and strained. Ethan and the lawyers were at the dining table, papers spread out. When Ethan saw her, he stood up immediately. "Maya, I think it's best you don't come here anymore." She froze. "Excuse me." He crossed his arms. "We appreciate whatever assistance you've been offering, but my grandfather doesn't need outside help. Especially not from someone we don't know." "Ethan, that's enough, Mr. Bennett said weakly. "She's been good to me." "Grandpa, please," Ethan interrupted. "You're vulnerable. You don't know her intentions." Maya's heart stung. "Intentions? I've been helping him because I care. Because he's what?" Ethan cut in, voice sharp. "Because he's an old man with a nice house and a pension. Don't think I don't know how these things go." The words hit like a slap. She put down the soup, her hands trembling. "I've never asked him for anything. Not money. Not gifts. Nothing." One of the lawyers spoke quietly. "We're just ensuring Mr. Bennett's estate is protected." That's when Maya noticed the documents on the table, legal forms, signatures, something about transfer of power of attorney. It felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Mr. Bennett looked at her helplessly. "I didn't want this, Maya." She nodded, forcing a small smile. "It's okay," she whispered, though her voice cracked. I understand. She turned and walked out before they could see her cry. Days turned into weeks. She tried to focus on work, on school, but everything felt hollow. Every street corner reminded her of him. Every afternoon felt empty without their tea and stories. Then, one evening, she saw the ambulance. It was parked in front of the blue house on Willow Street, red lights flashing against the fading sunset. She ran. Inside, paramedics were wheeling Mr. Bennett out on a stretcher. He looked frail, too frail, and frightened. "Mr. Bennett," Maya cried, running to his side. His eyes fluttered open. "Maya," he whispered weakly. She took his hand. "I'm here. You're going to be okay." Ethan stood by the doorway, tense. "Maya, please, let the professionals do their job." She ignored him. She rode with Mr. Bennett in the ambulance, holding his hand all the way to the hospital. But when they arrived, the nurses asked who she was, and she realized she wasn't on any of his paperwork anymore. She wasn't listed as an emergency contact. She wasn't anyone. The nurse turned to Ethan. "Are you the next of kin?" He nodded, glancing at Maya briefly before saying, "Yes. I'm his grandson." And just like that, she was asked to wait outside. For 2 weeks, she heard nothing. Then, one night, as she was leaving her shift, her phone rang. Unknown number. Maya. Her heart leapt. "Mr. Bennett." A weak chuckle. "You sound surprised, my dear." She laughed through tears. "I am. I wasn't sure you'd want to talk to me again." "I always wanted to," he said softly. "But Ethan, he means well, in his own way. He's scared. I think he's seen too much of the world to believe in kindness anymore." There was silence for a moment. Then he said, "I wanted to thank you. For everything. For reminding me what it feels like to be cared for, not because someone has to, but because they choose to." Maya couldn't speak. "Promise me one thing," he said finally. "Don't let people like Ethan change your heart. Keep helping others. That's who you are." She whispered, "I promise." Mr. Bennett passed away 3 months later. Maya attended the funeral quietly, standing in the back. She didn't approach Ethan. She just watched as they lowered the casket, tears blurring the world. After the ceremony, as people began to leave, Ethan walked toward her. "Maya," he said, his tone softer than before. She nodded, wiping her eyes. "I didn't want to intrude." "You weren't intruding." He paused. "I owe you an apology." She looked at him, unsure. He sighed. "After you stopped coming, Grandpa talked about you constantly. I thought you were taking advantage of him. I've seen too many people do it, to other families, to mine. I didn't want him hurt." Maya's voice was quiet. He wasn't hurt. He was happy. Ethan nodded. "I know that now." He reached into his coat pocket and handed her an envelope. "I found this in his desk after he passed," he said. "It's addressed to you." Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter, shaky, but full of warmth. "My dear Maya, if you are reading this, it means I've finally gone to be with my wife. Don't be sad, my angel. You gave an old man a reason to smile again. You reminded me that kindness still exists in the world. I've left something small for you, not as payment, but as a thank you. Use it to finish what you started. With love, Arthur Bennett." Maya looked up, tears spilling down her cheeks. What did he mean by something small? Ethan smiled faintly. "He set up a scholarship fund in your name. Enough to cover your nursing school, and then some." Her breath caught. "He didn't have to. He wanted to," Ethan interrupted. "He said you helped him find peace in his last years. This was his way of helping you find your purpose." For the first time, Maya saw something human in Ethan's eyes, remorse, maybe even gratitude. He extended a hand. "Thank you for being there for him when I wasn't." She shook it, her heart full. Years later, Nurse Maya Carter stood in the quiet corridor of the same hospital where she'd once waited outside a room she wasn't allowed to enter. She now worked there, caring for patients, holding hands, listening to stories. On her desk was a framed photo, Mr. Bennett smiling on his porch, a mug of tea in hand. Below it, a small brass plate read, "In memory of Arthur Bennett, who taught us that kindness is never wasted." Every day, before starting her shift, Maya would touch the frame and whisper, "Thank you." Because some people come into your life not to stay, but to remind you that love, in its purest form, is giving without expecting anything in return. And sometimes, that love changes everything. Moral: Kindness doesn't need recognition or reward. When it's real, it plants seeds that grow long after we're gone.